Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing today? Take a little bit down on the microphone there. How is the wonderful chat doing? I've got a really funny story about the stream today. I can't wait to tell everybody. I'm gonna let it build. I actually just changed the time from 10 a.m. to 9:30 this morning. I forgot that I had to schedule in my intro. You guys know how I like to do it. We do a little intro, get everybody settled in, get the early questions out of the way, get the vibe of what people want to talk about during the stream with the guests that I'm having. Seems to help flow the direction of the conversation. Also, lets me get set up. So let's get this camera a little more centered there. Perfect. All right. I need to invite Katya's Raw Wisdom. Yeah, I've heard she's made a lot of comments recently. Do I like her or do I not like her? I think I like her. I think she's made some good comments. Drew, I think digestion issues might be real. Yeah, bro. Have we spoken privately, to whom it may concern? I've had so many people hit me up. Like, I wake up now in the morning with like 3 or 4 DMs from people I don't even know. Like, they either want to get on the show, they just want to tell me some information, they just want to, they got people want to just share information. And it's great. It's honestly really great. We have an awesome community of people surrounding this whole movement, which is like, I don't know. I feel like I have a duty now to be even more transparent and more open-minded and more malleable. As much as I love just fucking sticking it to the vegans, trust me, I get sick pleasure from it. But I also need to always keep myself in check and make sure that I'm not going too far in one direction and placeboing myself, if that makes any sense. But we do our best here. You know what I'm saying? We do our effing best, man. So we should be pretty much technically sound today. And I will share with you my little funny story about this whole thing that happened today with the stream. So basically, stop debating vegans, you'll lose. No, I don't debate vegans. It's there's no way to lose. I cannot lose to vegans. That's impossible. Even if we wanted to go scientific study for scientific study, I could do that if I wanted to. I could do it if I wanted to. Oh, we don't. Let's go that way. Okay. No, wrong. There we go. Okay. Am I open-minded enough to ever consider going back to veganism? So here's my ultimate goal is to fix my candida issues and then try to run a vegan experiment if I get around to it, and then see how it goes. If I have perfect digestion on a vegan diet, and if I eat vegan protein powders, see, that's the thing is I don't want to do protein powders, period, at all. And vegans have an issue with this. They think that protein powder is better than consuming animal foods because it's better for the animals, but it ain't better for humans, in my opinion. So that's kind of what I have to say about that. So anyways, if I were to consume a vegan diet again, I would have to do a lot of vegan protein powders, and I would have to do tofu, tempeh, stuff like that, like enzymatic type of stuff. But it's such a concoction of enzymes and supplements to keep you through, and 30 days wouldn't really tell anybody anything anyways. But I'm mostly interested if I can digest it or not. Because if I can digest it, then that would be an ultimate test of my digestion, more so than me proving that veganism works for me or if it doesn't work for me. I hope that makes some sense. parasites were the cause, but meat helped her. No. People are just, the parasite thing, vegans go off in left field about the parasites, and I think it's way less of a real concern unless you live in like some third world country. I don't think it's a concern. Let's get that going that way. Let's see. To whom it may concern says, Drew, if you believe that protein powders are not part of a vegan diet, then don't do it. Be real with the experiment. Get blood tests. Blood tests don't really tell you shit either. That's the other mindfuck of this whole thing. Blood tests don't mean shit. I had good blood tests when I was 2 years vegan. Well, at least to my understanding of it. Like, I had good testosterone. I had good fasting glucose levels. I had low cholesterol, and I was all proud of it at the time. I was like 124 total cholesterol, eating a high carb, low fat, primarily raw till 4 diet. So if blood tests don't mean anything, then what does? In my opinion, there's a few things that matter. Number one is how do you feel? If your mental state and physical state, your digestion, your energy levels, your strength levels, your hormones are in check, then you're probably doing all right. That's probably the most important thing, because if blood tests tell you that you're fine, but you like have a searing pain in your stomach, then like it doesn't matter what the blood tests tell you. And by the way, I'm not the only person who had good blood tests that didn't feel great on a vegan diet long term. So Matt Bond wonders, why go back to another extreme? Just add more carbs and better gains. I agree. You don't need to go extreme. I wanted to go extreme because I wanted to test it personally for myself. I wanted to go carnivore for 40 days in the very beginning just to like see how the opposite felt. And my digestion was so amazing. I mean, my digestion is still to this day perfect if I'm only consuming animal foods. There's no complaints on my end from consuming animal foods. Plantriotic says he gets pleasure from not trying animal products, and that keeps Drew talking about Plantriotic. No, honestly, talking about Jackson's kind of boring to me. I don't really give a shit. He can do whatever he wants. Here's the thing about Jackson is he could have been involved in this amazing dietary experiment, and we've moved on without him. So he was going to be at the forefront of that. Now he misses that opportunity because we're going to move on without him. He is not the star of the show. The star of the show is the information, and the information needs to continue being developed and move on, and we need to move on. So in terms of what we're going to do is I have a huge announcement, and I'll announce it in about 10 minutes. So, hey, Living in Alignment, what's up, girl? Thank you for tuning in all the time. I appreciate the support. I appreciate everybody who comes in and like says what's up. I love it. Like, make sure you say what's up. Make sure you subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I checked the numbers the other day, and 65% of the people who are watching the channel are not even subscribers yet. So you got some lurkers in there, and they are there to grow the channel. But we're going to do some awesome streams. I know today we have Christine Salus coming on in 15 minutes or so. We have Megan Elizabeth coming on later this month. I potentially have a John Venus in-person interview next week in LA. We are supposed to be doing an in-person thing, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I'm not blaming Jackson. Like, if he wants to remain vegan and he says that he has good results, great. I want Jackson to do what makes him happy. He comes from an eating disordered background. I don't know much about that stuff, admittedly. So in my opinion, like, I don't want to be driving somebody into some area where they're not comfortable with, because, I'm not qualified to make decisions or recommendations based on their past eating habits. You know what I'm saying? So funny story about today. Our power went out completely went out, and it was something that the Edison, the power company, told us weeks ago that we were going to have a power outage today. And of course, I'm not sitting there waiting on my calendar. This is the day that the power is going out. So I'm sitting here at 9 a.m. I'm emailing, I'm answering comments, and boom, everything goes out. And I was pissed. And luckily, we're like preppers over here. So we roll out the generator, hook up some extension cables to the computer and to the router and fire up the generator, and I'm running off straight gasoline power right now. How do you like that shit? So the entire neighborhood is out of power, and we're still streaming. Love it. Yeah, I wanted to see Jackson participate in the experiments too, but it would have been good to have him involved because he would be vlogging it the whole time, and it would be like an updated, interesting thing. Also, he is relatively scientifically minded compared to like an average person, but don't worry, we are moving on without him. I will explain in a moment. To whom it may concern says, honestly, Drew, ever since I went on the plant-based diet, I have not ever been sick. Awesome. So check it out. When I first went vegan, I didn't get sick for like 3 years. And I thought my immune system was so healthy. I think that immune system health has a lot to do with how many calories you eat, more so than the type of foods you're eating. No, I'm going to retract that statement. It has a lot to do with the type of foods you're eating, of course, long term. But in terms of like sickness or being able to fight off diseases in the short term, like colds, flus, all that type of stuff, I think it has a lot to do with the amount of available energy you have in that moment. So like if you're in a caloric surplus and you're eating enough food, I think you'll be okay. You add in the vitamins and minerals, I think you'll be okay. Now, the first few years, like I said, I didn't get sick. And then in my last year, man, last 2 years of veganism, I got fucking sick so much. I got sick from seasonal allergies again all of a sudden. I got sick from I got like some cold flus and stuff like that. And then in Hawaii, I got salmonella, which I'm pretty sure is salmonella. It was so bad. We had geckos all throughout our house and our kitchen on our cutting boards, and who knows what they're peeing and shitting on. And I was still vegan, of course, and I had just gotten back from California, and I was sipping on a smoothie, and I had the worst stomach ache I've ever had in my life. And I was just like, what's going on here? I went to the bathroom, and I could not get this pain out of my stomach. And for a week, I was in... It's the worst. I've had mononucleosis, where I was sick for an entire month straight. The Epstein-Barr virus. And this was way worse than that. Like, I would rather have mono again for a month than I would rather have salmonella for a week. It was the most awful pain, the most pain I've ever been in my life. And I've broken bones. I've had everything happen to me, and this was the worst. I was in bed. The center of my stomach had so much pain, and I was throwing up from the pain, not from the actual stomach juices or anything. And the last night I was in bed, and I was like gripping into my sheets and moaning, and just I couldn't sleep. And I was rolling around in bed. You see like in the old Western movies where like somebody's been shot and they have like that sweating yellow fever, and they're just like tossing and turning in bed. That was me the last night. It was so bad. Let me catch up with chat a little bit. Somebody said something about me ignoring the fans. What? Yes, I'm talking to Christine at 10. So in 13 minutes, Christine's coming on. Matt Bond says, Drew, you just claimed 30 days doesn't show anything, but you wanted that vegan dude to try meat for 30 days to see how he feels. Yeah, just to see how he feels. By the way, he came to me. So he made a video on YouTube. If you guys want to go see him, I will post the video. I think his name's Nathan Greg or something. Nathan Greaves. Hold on one second. He's a young Australian dude. And I don't want to say he called me out. It was a very friendly call out, but he made a video, and I will show you guys the video. Give me one second here. Christine is not a vegan. No, she's no longer vegan. She was a vegan for 4 years. Okay, Autism the Hedgehog, you need to chill out. What's going on, Irish Carnivore? All right, you're getting banned. See ya. Time out for you. Time out for you. What percentage of you guys' diet meat is meat, and what is grass-fed? What's regular grocery store bought? So for me, it's like I'm eating about 80% conventional right now. I'm always eating the highest quality eggs possible, and I'm always eating highest quality ground beef possible. But yeah, it's a lot of money for the top grade stuff. Instagram is freaking out, but it's here we go. His name is Nate Finn on YouTube. I will link him right now. Here it is. Well, we can watch the if you guys want, we can watch it. It's a short video. No, it's 4 minutes and 20 seconds. I'll have to just post it in here. You guys can watch it on your own time. So that's Nate Greaves. I'm gonna introduce you guys to him on Monday, and he is willing to be a guinea pig for the greater good. And I also have another guy, so I'll make the announcement now, and I'm gonna make a video about this tomorrow in more detail. But essentially, we're gonna be running a YouTube first experiment between carnivores and between vegans. So I have a young man in Australia, Nate Greaves. He's about 20 years old. He's been vegan for 6 years. He's had no issues on the vegan diet. He feels very healthy, very confident that the diet is working for him. He's in good shape. He's lean. And he said that he's willing to go, not carnivore, but he's willing to be omnivore for 30 days. So he's going to include animal food products basically for 30 days, see if he feels anything different. He's just curious and he wants to be part of this whole scientific experiment that we have going on. Scientific, okay? I relax, you scientists. Okay, I get it. It's not scientific, but we're gonna start putting pairs of people together, and we're gonna see how they do. We're gonna keep track of them. I have another man in Tennessee who couldn't be further from Nate. He's an older gentleman in his late 40s or 50s. He's a construction worker. He's been on carnivore for 8 months. He's been an omnivore his whole life. And in the past 7 months or 8 months on carnivore, he's lost 100 pounds, and he's curious about veganism. So he says that he's willing to jump on the diet for 30 days and see how it goes. He's been doing a lot of fasting, and he first heard about veganism through the Jordan Peterson podcast with Joe Rogan. So it's going to be two totally different guys from the opposite ends of the earth, basically, literally, and we're going to introduce them on Monday. We're going to do a live stream with them. We're going to keep track of them. We're going to have them keep track of their food as much as possible. And then 2 weeks in, we'll do an update with them, another live stream. And then at the end of it, we're going to do a closeout with them. So we'll be hearing from them over the next month. The next 30 days will be a very exciting experiment to see how a carnivore does on a vegan diet and how a vegan does on an omnivore diet. Dave Feldman, $1.99. Thank you for the donation. Please get blood work at the start and finish of experiment. I don't think that it's going to show much. And, I'll ask Nate to do it because he's in Australia, and maybe they'll both be open to it. Maybe they will both be open to it, and maybe they'll be curious enough to where they want to actually see. So the sheep just finished lambing. Irish carnivore. I like that. I don't know who to watch, Bobby or Drew. I'll stay for Christine. Yeah, stay for Christine. Is Bobby streaming right now? I didn't know. We're all so active on the weekends for sure. It's getting wild. And to whom it may concern tells me he thinks I may have had a gut dysbiosis. I don't disagree with you. So I think that I had an issue. I think that I've had an issue for a long time on the, to be honest with you, I think I had an issue for a long time. I did a lot of antibiotics as a kid. I wasn't breastfed. I had asthma inhalers. All these things are known to not be good for your gut flora, and we don't really know. By the way, somebody asked if I was living or where I'm living now. I'm in Southern California. I might have to make Dr. Michael Fartface an admin. Drew, I'm trying to bulk and eat lots of carbs, animal fat, and protein. You will bulk. You will absolutely bulk. Guaranteed. Why are people confused if this is a live recording or not? Am I responding to comments way too late or something? I'm just sharing some stories. I can't read every comment. I'm sorry, guys. Do I know any long-term carnivores, 7 years or something? No, I do not. By the way, I don't do strictly carnivore. I also eat carbohydrates. I eat some plant, like greens and stuff like that here and there. But again, there are people out there. I'm just saying, me personally, in my actual life, I don't. But I do know tons of vegans, and I do know tons of ex-vegans, and a lot of them failed on the diet, and that's what I know. So I do know that veganism doesn't work for most people. That's what I said on my last stream. Is like the main message of my channel is not go carnivore. It's veganism doesn't work for everybody, and in my mind, I have absolute proof of that. I have the experience to back it up, and that's really all I have to say about it. Yeah, that's a great idea to get Bart K on. I do want to do that. I'm going to email him today and see if I can get him on tomorrow. We'll do a live stream with Bart K. We'll talk about the outlines of the experiment, the parameters, and then we'll talk to the people on Monday. We'll debrief them, then we'll get them running on the experiment, and then we'll be following up with them. It'll be very exciting. I don't think I can get my name on a published paper for 2 people, but that would be exciting. I like the sound of that. I'm not a scientist, man. I just make science. Have you read Grant Genero's Theory of Vitamin A Toxicity? I have not. I don't know a whole lot about vitamin A. I mean, I know about the whole retinol conversion, or lack thereof. Oh, we got to go with Rose. Psh, come on. Let's see. Aldo or Volkanovski? Volkanovski, I believe, looked good in his last fight. I think Aldo's time is done. I think he needs to put it up. To whom it may concern, great idea for Bart K, and I did have that idea. We're both on top of that. Chandler or Pitbull? Actually, I don't even know who either of those guys are. I'm ashamed to say. No. Well, the N=2 experiment that I'm about to run is going to be repeated. So after these 2 guys go, I would imagine that other people will want to get involved, and then we'll bring them in. So Christine's coming on in about 4 minutes, so take it easy. She's coming soon. And yes. Dude, how do I get out of Hawaii and into Cali? How much did you save for that move? I moved to Hawaii. I'm from California. So I moved to Hawaii with like $40,000. And I spent a lot of it. All of it. I lived there for 2 years, though. I bought a car there. I did a little Ubering while I was there. I went to the beach a whole lot. I did a whole lot of jack shit. I played around a lot. All right, Christine, sounds good. The stream did start early. I did set it up so that I could stream. I like to do a little 30-minute intro or so before the guest comes on. Christine's coming on in a few minutes. So she's coming on at 10. That was the time I set. And then I came on a little bit early, a little bonus, 30-minute bonus. Redheaded princess. You're vegan, but it's your guilty pleasure watching me. Ooh. I like the sound of that. I have not heard of the American Gut Project. No. Hey, you guys, if tell me the delay on. Hang on, let me see if I can figure this out. All right, I'm going to wave. Let's see how long it takes to get to you. This is the dumbest experiment ever. It's like 10 seconds. Not bad. Not the worst. Not the worst. Whew. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Cool, I can see you. You can see me, right?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Well, without further ado, I'm going to pop you on to the stream. Okay?
Awesome.
Let me know.
Yeah.
Let me know if the text is backwards. I think it should be regular for you.
No, like the text on the bottom of the screen?
Yeah. Does it look normal?
Yeah, it looks normal.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, this is Christine Salus. I'm sure some of you, most of you know who she is. Let's see, what could my intro be for you, Christine? Me and Christine go way back. She actually lived with me in Hawaii. She was one of my first roommates there, and I've been following her for so many years since the fruitarian workout in the house days.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to go back and actually see when I subscribed to you, but I'm sure it's like at least 5 years, minimum 5 years.
Hmm.
So Christine Salus, she's now an ex-vegan amongst us. She was vegan for 5 years total.
Yeah, pretty much 5 years and like a month or two exactly.
So a little bit longer than me. Christine has tried fruitarian phase, a bit of raw vegan phase, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of high protein vegan phases, and you come from a fitness background. You're also a dental hygienist in the real life. So you're not just a YouTuber, but you did do that basically professionally for years.
Hmm.
And since, about it was about a year ago, you've taken a break from YouTube a bit, and you've made a few videos since then, workout videos and such, just to keep, you know, some flow going at your will, at your leisure.
Yeah, at my leisure. It was a hard thing for me to let go of making workout videos for now, and like I said in my last video, I'm not sure if I will make more videos, but yeah, just like that sense of responsibility, in
Mhm.
the sense that I would get a lot of comments, people messaging me, like, I miss your workouts. And I'd be like, oh, like it tugs on my heartstrings. And I like want to give that back to people who like really like my workouts. But at the same time, I just felt like I was complete with that phase for now. And maybe once when I move, eventually I'll start filming again because I really liked filming in my old apartment, like the classic hit workout Christine Salas like apartment setting was my favorite. But yeah, for now I'm just focusing on other things like school and just not having a normal life. Like it
Mm.
after being on YouTube pretty much full time for like I don't know. I think it was like 3 years that I didn't have a regular job. Just kind of like phasing back into the real world, you know?
Yes. And that's like what a lot of us are dealing with just coming back from Hawaii and stuff like that, is trying to like figure out how to re get back into the flow,
Reintegrate into real
reintegrate.
society.
Yes,
Not
exactly.
that Hawaii isn't a real society or whatever, but like when we were there, it was like my little happy bubble fantasy place,
Yeah.
like the land of fruits and rainbows and sunshine and yeah.
Well, we can definitely talk more about that. I wanted to get into like that was the first thing that I even wrote in the description was like Hawaii memories and stuff like that. So just to kind of finish off the intro, the intro. Um, so another thing about Christine is there's been a lot of people who have come along in the vegan movement, and they claim to have fitness and they claim to gain muscle mass. But what I want to point out to everybody about Christine is that like she's probably the most athletic and muscularly built women that I've ever met. And you did it on a vegan diet, which is amazing to me.
Mhm.
Like with you, I saw there was, from the outside, there was no signs of like vegan weakness, you know?
Yeah, you know what? I agree with that. And that's really interesting because right before I came on here, I was looking through my old photos of like the last year that I was vegan. I'm like, was I like getting that sunken eye thing? Was I deteriorating and just like not see it? And I was looking, and on the outside, I don't think
No.
I had that look at all. Like I looked healthy still. But what I will say is for the amount of working out that I did, I don't feel that I got the results that I should have.
And you
Because
you were extremely dedicated. Like you were like
mhm,
full on in the
yeah,
gym all the time, so.
when I was like, you saw me when I was in Hilo with you guys, I was in the gym. I was at BJ Penn's 5 days a week for about 2 hours. Like I wouldn't be lifting that whole 2 hours. I'd do like a 45-minute warm up and mobility and stuff, but still like it's a lot. And I just never felt like I got the muscular development in my legs and my butt that I like. Yes, like I had good results, but for the amount that I was putting in, like I just wasn't seeing the muscle growth that I expected based on like based on the research I had done and what other people were doing. And actually now, like, I've barely worked out for the last year. Like, it's been very, very inconsistent. And the funny part is, like, I don't even think my body has really changed that much. Just
Mm.
like it's changed. I've lost a little bit of muscle, but and also I've been dealing with this back injury that is just like finally starting to heal. Like over the last year, I've been in pretty much constant pain with my low back, and that's another reason why I haven't really been making workout videos.
Mm.
But over the last couple of months, it's actually just gotten a lot better. So now I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna restart my fitness. I'm kind of gonna do an experiment instead of doing like as 5 days a week, 2 hours in the gym. I'm gonna do like 2 to 3 sessions per week and like only do 5 exercises per workout. So like the bare bones minimum, and see what happens to my body with like the minimum effort. And now not eating a vegan not eating a vegan diet, like eating a way higher protein, way higher fat diet. Actually, I never wasn't really eating a low fat diet for the last few years.
As a
But I'd
vegan,
say
you mean?
I wasn't eating a low fat diet. Like after I stopped being fruitarian, I wasn't really low fat for several years.
Mm.
But I'd say even my fat intake is even higher now because I'm not really right now. I'm still kind of avoiding like refined sugars and grains. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, see, it's crazy because when and we're going right into the deep end right away, but when you love your overnight oats, I remember you were
Hmm.
passionate about your overnight oats, and that was something I never messed with, and I actually started doing that towards the end of my probably like the last 6 months I was vegan, and
Yeah.
it was helping me put on weight, and I was gaining some more size. But the
Hmm.
thing is like the amount of fat that I was gaining to muscle mass ratio was way out of control. Like I was gaining like all fat and a little bit of muscle. You know what I
Yeah, I
mean?
mean, let's talk about your results. Like, I am so I don't want to say shocked. That sounds bad, but like I said to you in the DMs, like when I was watching part of your and Megan's live stream, and I saw you do like a little physique update, I was like, holy shit! Like, because you ate so much protein and you were like dialed in, and you were doing your workouts, and like I don't want to like say that you had bad results in Hawaii. Like, you did look good,
They were
but
mediocre for the amount of, again as you're saying is the amount of effort wasn't equaling the output.
no, it wasn't. It was, and like what you're doing now in your diet now, and like your body looks completely different. Like
Yeah.
I mean, I personally see a huge change, and that's like, I was like, wow, that's like a real testimony. And I'm actually just really excited to see what happens to my body in like the next 6 months with kind of like, I think you're kind of doing a similar approach, right? Like minimum effective like dose for like good results. Like I know you've talked about like Bobby's perspective, and like
He
he's
has like
got
the
like the
max
10 out of
results.
the 10, right? And you'd be
Yes.
happy with like the 8 out of 10 or 7 out of 10 results. And like I'm kind of in the same boat. Like I'm tired of being at the gym all the time and caring about fitness so much.
Yeah.
But I still want to look good, obviously, and like be strong and healthy. So I'm just kind of I'm curious to see. I think like I'll do. Oh, I think
I got you back.
frozen. No? Okay. Yeah. Maybe like in a few months I'll do some sort of update video on like my progress, but yeah, we'll see.
Well, the reason why I wanted to point out that you had no like you had no degeneration, and it's a hot topic right now, so we can get like really deep into that topic, but
Hmm.
like from the athletic standpoint, starting with a good example. This is my whole point, is that a lot of people, they start from like a bad genetic example. And with you,
Hmm.
we had a very good genetic example. Like you showed me a picture of you when you were a kid with your parents on the beach, and your freaking mom has a
Hmm.
six pack. You know, like
Yeah.
you come
Yeah.
from good genetics, and this is important for people to understand. Like you're tall, like you're just well built. Like I've always loved that. Like Christine, guys, like she's got shoulders that guys like wish they could have. Like she's just fucking jacked, man. Like and she looks like this in real
Oh, look at
life,
the
you know?
triceps. See the
And
triceps
this is
there.
no
Yeah.
working out. Like this is just her. She wakes up like this. So Christine is like what, she's what people are trying to be. Like with her genetics, she could go very far with working out and athleticism. She obviously can choose to do whatever she wants with it. Not everybody has to like be freaking, massively jacked or whatever, or be a professional bodybuilder, but like people start out at a different genetic potential than others, and that's a real thing. But vegans, I think, like Vegan Foot Soldier, I don't know if you've heard our little back and forth recently. He's another YouTuber that recently started working out, and he has extremely weak results based on the amount of effort that he's been putting in my opinion. All he's done is gain a bunch of skinny fatness, and he even made a physique update. Now, with him, what's that?
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, he has been arguing with me, telling me that he's a hard gainer. I'm like, dude, didn't you see where I started out? Like, I started out working out at 123 pounds. Like, I'm also a hard gainer, bro. Like, Christine is not a hard gainer. Christine looks like this in real life. There's no this is what she really looks like. So anyways, that's the intro. And now let's let it flow.
Yeah. Well, I keep thinking how funny it was in Hawaii. So when I arrived, I was like heavier than you and you were lighter than me. And our goal by the end of our, like, cause I think I was there for like what, 3 months. The goal was for me to like cut down a little bit and for you to gain weight so that at the end you weighed more than me. Yes. And like, it was hard for you to gain weight. So yes, you're definitely an, what is it? Ectomorph or yes. Ectomorph. Whereas I think I'm more of a mesomorph. And there's the other thing about body dysmorphia and maybe not having a realistic picture of what you look like, because this happened to me, like when I was fruitarian, I was so skinny. I was like, I don't know, at least probably like 15 pounds lighter than 10 or 15 pounds lighter than I am now. And I thought I was jacked. Like, right. I remember, I think I took this video down just because I was so like looking back at it now, I was like cringing. But like I had this one thumbnail of where I'm like very, very skinny and I'm flexing and that's the thumbnail. And I'm like, yeah, I look ripped. I'm like, fuck, like it's a little chicken arm. Like there's nothing there. And there's just kind of like this body dysmorphia that some people get, thinking they're a lot bigger than they really are when they're, it's not a vegan thing, but it happened to me while I was vegan, so I'm not sure if there's like a pattern with that, but yeah, I
know exactly what you're talking about. And I wanted to actually bring this up today, so I'm glad you reminded me. But it's like when you're in the gym, let's say you first start working out, you go to the gym, everybody in there looks fit and jacked. You start going there for 3, 4, 5 months, you get a little bit of results. Like the guy that you thought was so huge next to you, like you're starting to sort of match that size now. And now he looks average to you. And then only like the monsters look big to you. So like you sort of like fluctuate, your perspective really changes.
Totally. Yeah, I noticed the same thing with women that I would follow on Instagram. In the beginning, I started following, like a long time ago, I started following like a bunch of female sort of like bodybuilders. And I was like, whoa, they're so big. They're so muscular. Like, I don't, that's a little too much for me. But now when I look at them, I'm like, they look normal to me. Like, oh yeah, that's like what a normal body looks like in my, like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Well, the interesting thing about that, to relate it to veganism, is that's what I believe happens with vegans. So like right now, if you're just like a normal omnivore and, people are walking around at 12, 14, 16% body fat, 18%, whatever it is, and they have some muscle, like that looks healthy and normal to you. But as you're vegan and you start getting like more lean and sort of sickly, emaciated, like probably when you were in that like fruitarian skinny phase, as you call it, which is skinny for you, but really to like even the average person, you still look ripped. But I'm sure most women would like just snap their fingers and look like that. However, when you were in that phase, it was small for you. And then you probably went to like the Woodstock Fruit Festival and were like, oh, these are my people. Like we're all attractive and we look the same. But outside of that area, you have anybody normal looking in, they're like, holy shit, this is like a festival of emaciated, skinny, weak people.
Totally. Like I yeah, my idea of what was normal kind of reset to more of like everybody at that time, like when I went to Woodstock, like lean, everybody was like, that was like the word, like everybody was like obsessed with being lean. And
Mm.
like I caught that obsession, it's like these things are kind of like thought viruses or something
Hmm.
that like they're contagious. Um, I definitely, and it's funny because like, I never had really a problem with eating disorders or anything like that in the past, but when I like became fruitarian, I became so obsessive about being lean. Now that like I actually got lean, I was like, "Oh, wow." And then I just got so obsessive about it and then I got really just sucked into that purity mindset that like yeah, I'd say like all of my kind of like issues with rigid like orthorexic eating disorder type of stuff kind of originated with the fruitarianism, even though like at the time I thought it was like God's gift to me, like that knowledge, I thought it was like the most
You had
amazing
stumbled
thing.
across the key to the world, basically.
Totally, I
You could be
believed in
lean and
it
fit and healthy.
so strongly, and like I can relate to several things that like you've talked about with Tim Sheaf too, about like the breatharianism. Like I honestly like I wanted to go down that route, and like I eventually wanted to like feel embarrassed talking about it somewhat, but yeah, I was like I want to one day be a breatharian because I just that really appealed to me, that whole idea.
Well, it's so exciting. Like people love, there's a reason why alien shows are the most like popular shows on these old like Discovery Channel type of late night stuff. Like people still like this stuff. And like I think that humans are naturally interested in the occult, it's like
Mhm.
witchcraft and like
Yeah.
this sort of
Well, I've
thing.
always had like a bit of an obsession with vampires, so I love the concept of being able to live forever, not age, and not need to eat or sleep. Like, and
That's
that
cool.
it's right. Like, it's so cool. Like, and I love all things vampire. And even like when I would do juice fasts or like any type of fast, like I would like it because I'd be like, I felt less human and more like supernatural when I was doing it. I know
Mm.
that sounds kind of weird, but I feel like the like people who know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about.
I do know exactly what you're talking about because I also like vampires and I also related it to vampirism when I was doing like when I first went vegan. I remember cutting open oranges and being like, I'm eating living food. Like, this
Yes.
is like I'm feasting on the life and this is
Yes.
like meant for me. And then like the dead food from the animals, because vampires like they die when they eat dead meat. Like they have to eat living
Mm.
meat or they have to drink living blood. So it's like I related that all to itself, and then like the juiciness of the fruit. I'm like, it's this weird connection, but I get you. Trust me, I get you. We have Megan Elizabeth. Megan, hang on, let me make you a mod first of all.
Oh,
We got
I
Megan
can't see the
Elizabeth.
chat. Like, I guess there's no way for me to see the chat. Hey,
You got to just pull it up on your other
on
whatever you
on
do over
my.
there is all you, and then I can control what I see over here. So don't worry about what you're doing.
Okay, maybe
Um,
I'll mute because I'm using, yeah, I'll mute that and play. Okay.
Megan says yes, she would love to be a vampire, and she said you and Christine, or sorry, her and you were so lean in the Kona days,
We
and
were
that's what
we were what? Sorry, in the Kona days?
so lean, like so
Oh,
tiny.
yeah. Yeah, we were. It's all in the
Uh,
past now.
there we go. I can finally see Megan now when it talks because she's got a wrench now. So yeah, so this is actually awesome to kind of like recap this
How's
history.
your candida thing going? Because I know you were talking about the.
I think I lost Christine. We lost Christine for a second. Hopefully she comes back. Let's see here. I'll catch up with the chat. Yep, Meg's in Hawaii. This guy has such a crush on this girl. Ritesh Aurora. You think? There we go. We got her back. Boom, boom. No problem. All right. So, I'm glad we're recapping this history because this is really important. And I love that we actually have history that like spans back a few years, because it allows us to sort of like accurately depict the timeline of things. And what's even better is that you saw me when I first moved to Hawaii. So I was still super fucking skinny.
Yeah, I remember talking to Megan on FaceTime right before coming, and you were in the background, and you were like this tall, skinny kid, and I was like, "Why do you have a 17-year-old living with you? Like, who's that?" But yeah, that was you. And yeah, like, so for people who kind of doubt your story, like, I can definitely, like, your results, like saying that you're exaggerating now or like underselling your results back then, like, I can testify to, yeah, the truth in your statements on those things.
And I'm so grateful for you being around because of your, like, first of all, you have perfect teeth and you're also a dental hygienist. So, like, you know about keeping teeth healthy much more
Yeah.
than, you know, the average
The
person.
teeth thing, oh my God. Like, I can't remember who it was, but I've been, two people recently were like saying like the fruitarian thing, that they still aren't like into brushing their teeth. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, I remember being at Woodstock and talking to this guy. Like, I noticed this on a few people. I was sitting on the grass eating and talking to this random guy, and he was telling me about how like he didn't brush his teeth. And I was looking at his teeth, and I literally saw like an inch of sludge on his
Ugh.
teeth. His gums were all red and like just super inflamed. I'm just like, I don't think I'm gonna say anything here. Like,
Yeah, you can see the
yeah,
calcification like on top of his
yeah,
mouth.
yeah.
So when I first went to the dentist, no, my second time as a vegan, the first time was actually fine, but I remember the woman. No, the second time I went in there, she was flossing me, and you know, here I am like hotshot vegan, you know, like haha, like dental work, like bitch, I'm a vegan, don't you know? And she's like,
Yeah,
she's flossing me, and she's like, yeah, you have so much inflammation in your gums. Like she was like pressing against my gums, and like they were
they're
almost
just
bleeding.
bleeding, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and she is like, yeah, I'd like to, and here I am thinking like high carb, low fat, like the durian rider, like just going through my mind, like low inflammation, you know, and I'm just like,
yeah.
no, this woman is literally like skilled in this, and she's telling me I have inflammation in my gums. If it's in my gums, what else is going on in my body? This is hilarious
Hmm.
to me that vegans think that they're like immune to everything because, you know, but half of them don't even go to the dentist because they know that they're gonna have cavities and they're scared. So
Yeah. And I never ever actually had cavities my entire life, but a couple of years into being vegan, I started getting some decalcification. I actually needed to get fillings along the gum line in a few of my
mm,
teeth, and that was something that I never ever had before. And like when I was younger, I only brushed my teeth once a day. I never flossed, so
same.
like I
Well, I
have
brushed
good
twice, but I didn't
enamel,
floss.
but yeah.
Well, that's what. Yeah, I have along the gum line on both molars here, and then other several bondings around the edges because the enamel just got destroyed. And then I remember you sent me some stuff, some special stuff in
Oh
the mail.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
not that stuff, other stuff, but that Christine sent me. What was the gel? It was
Oh, that was like a fluoride varnish. So that's
yes.
the fluoride that we apply in the office to people who are super cavity prone, who
Mm.
like, maybe people who can't take care of their teeth properly and need like a really strong dose of fluoride. So yeah, it's just the fluoride varnish that I sent you.
Well, I applied that and it worked immediately. Like it stopped the enamel erosion on that tooth, and it actually like returned some of the color even too within like the first or second application. And then that tooth no longer had any issues. So like it was something going on there. And then of course,
Mhm.
like remember how much orange juice I was drinking in the beginning? You're
Oh
like,
my
Drew,
God,
that's
yes.
not good for you. Like, and I just didn't believe it. I'm like, orange juice, I'm like my saliva, and it's like, no, 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 no,
No.
guys,
Yeah,
there's not even a question about this. It's not a debate. Orange juice is as bad for your teeth as soda. Period. Like
it is for
the
sure.
acidity will
Yeah.
just destroy your enamel. So
Hmm.
let that be that. Um. So yeah, you saw me at my skinniest, and then you saw, you know, like you were kind of struggling to lose weight in the way that you wanted when we first were in Hawaii together. Um.
Hmm.
And I think it's because you were doing like a very, if it fits your macros type of approach, but obviously like vegan style. So it wasn't like it was unhealthy from that perspective. You weren't sneaking in like ice cream or anything like that. But in order for you to hit those macros, like you were having to do some pretty weird mixtures, in my opinion, like to get that food in. Yeah.
Like what? I don't remember. What kind of
Well,
weird
like you had to
mixture?
make like the high protein pancakes and like
Oh yeah.
stuff that just wasn't good for digestion, basically.
Oh no, I had terrible digestion. That's pretty much the number one thing that made me stop being vegan is because we're going to talk about bowel movements, yeah?
Oh yeah, let's go.
Oh, okay. So like I just had chronic diarrhea for like at least 2 year, like a year and a half for sure that I can remember. Like it was always, it kind of started. So like it, before I went vegan, I was always kind of constipated. And then when I went fruitarian, I was like, hallelujah, I'm like shitting 3 times a day. But then it just, I don't know what my gut just got worse and worse. And then eventually I was just having diarrhea and, um, just like cramps and so much bloating too. Just my gut was just not happy, and it was one of the main reasons why I was like, you know what, I can't, because because like I was constantly trying to eat enough protein to
Mm.
get the gains. So I was eating a lot of beans and soy products, and like I haven't had beans or lentils or chickpeas or anything like that since in like over a year, just because it's a disaster for my stomach. And so I'm like just not eating that anymore. Those were the worst things, but also just like all the mixtures of, yeah, all the kind of like weird mixtures. Now I eat really a lot more simply, like way less ingredients, and it goes through me a lot better.
Did you eat? Did you have any sensitivities to like nuts or nut butters, like peanut butter, almond butter? Because I think you ate some of that stuff back in the day, right?
Yeah, I did. It's hard to say because I didn't, I don't know if I was reacting to nuts or nut butters, because I never cut them out and then reintroduced them. I just kind of like cut them out. Well, no, no, no. I didn't really. Yeah, for a while I kind of cut them out, but I haven't like done a strict experiment to see if they trigger me or not. But
Mm.
I try to just stay. If I'm gonna eat nuts, I'll eat like sprouted walnuts and macadamia nuts. Don't really eat much peanut butter anymore, unfortunately, because it's supposed to be really inflammatory for your skin. So not really eating a ton of that.
Yeah, that's understandable. Um, and so let's kind of fast forward a little bit. So you left Hawaii the first time, and then you came back again. And part of the reason I think why you went vegan in the first place, correct me if I'm wrong, but you did want to help heal some of your skin issues that you had, right? Or did you get that after you went vegan?
No, I like that began a couple years before I went vegan. I think that it's so my skin stuff. I think like I'm still dealing with it a bit. I
Hmm.
think that it's a primarily a stress response, like a emotionally triggered stress response, because it first occurred right after like a pretty traumatic event in my life. And it's been with me ever since. So when I went fruitarian, at first it did get a little bit better, but then the improvements reversed and it just continued to get worse and worse. Um, Sorry, I lost my train of thought. What were you asking me about?
Where it's just talking about, the skin, if you, when you got it, like, did it get better or worse on the vegan diet? Like, as far as you said, if
Oh,
vegetarianism started getting a little bit worse and you started going down that path where, yeah, it was a stress response, etc.
yeah. So last year being vegan, it got way worse. Like I
Oh, give it a sec if you can hear me. I think you guys can still see me, hopefully. We may have lost Christine again. We'll give her a second to pop back in. I'm sure she will. I will ask Christine what she eats in a day now. What she eats now to maintain. Good afternoon, Michael Morgan. I hope that answers the question to whom it may concern regarding the peanut butter and the skin. I think we probably got that one. Yeah, Daniel Ripplinger, I like having the Euro-friendly stream. There we go. We got her back. Okay, we're popping you back on.
Sorry about that. I don't know why it keeps freezing up or whatever, but yeah, anyways, so in the last year of being vegan, it got really bad. Like I would get spots on my body where that I didn't have before, and it was just like popping up. And then my dad actually found me this book on Amazon called The Keystone Approach, and it's basically like an autoimmune elimination diet where you only eat things like meat, vegetables, like a limited amount of fruits, so like apples and berries, and you don't eat any grains or pseudo grains, limited nuts as well, only certain nuts were allowed. And when I went on that diet, it improved like incredibly. Like I think I sent you some photos of that, right? That last year, and it worked so
Oh
well.
yeah,
But
yeah. I included those in my video.
right, and it worked amazingly. But the thing, I couldn't stick to it because, like, to be completely honest, like my mind was just so tired of diet rules and restrictions. I didn't ever think that while I was vegan, I never considered myself to be restricting myself because it was like an ethical thing for me and I was happy to be vegan and I didn't consider non-vegan things even food. Like they weren't even options. So I
Mm-hmm.
didn't, it'd be like me looking at like a lamp, like that's not food. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So I didn't like I wasn't aware of this restriction thing, but like after a few months of doing that elimination diet, I just like kind of broke down and I was going on through a lot of stress. And I was just like, you know what? I just want to eat junk food. Like I'd be at school and be looking at this case in the bakery case and there'd be like chocolate croissants. And I'm like, God damn, I would kill for a donut or a chocolate croissant. Like I haven't let myself eat this stuff in years.
And this is when
And
you already transitioned away from being vegan in the first place, right?
this is sorry.
This is after you went. Sorry, this is after you left. You're already eating animal foods at this point, right?
Yeah, so
Okay.
like I transitioned away from veganism and I only pretty much still ate healthy, like very, as healthy as I could, no processed foods. And then very shortly after transitioning away from veganism, like a couple months, I went on this like very strict autoimmune protocol diet to heal my skin. And after a few months of that, like I think the breaking point was going home. And this is a good thing and a bad thing. Like I went home to visit my parents and like it's been years basically since I've been willing to eat anything that my mom would cook.
Mm-hmm.
And because like she wouldn't cook, well, she would cook a lot of vegan stuff, but like her baking was never vegan really. So she made cinnamon rolls and I was like, you know what? I really just want to eat cinnamon rolls with my mom. Like
Mm-hmm.
like it just felt really nourishing to be able to once again accept the food that my mother was like offering, like, cause it felt like it put a strain in our relationship for a few
Mm-hmm.
years where I was like, no, I don't eat that. And I was pretty kind of like an annoying vegan about it in the beginning. Like I was very self-righteous and very like judgy. And I really regret that now, but at the same time, like good that I'm aware of it now and yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I ate the cinnamon rolls and then after that I was like I can't limit myself like this anymore. Like I'm just tired of limiting myself and like the amazing thing, one of the best things about not being vegan anymore and like I would never have expected this when I was vegan because I actually judged another friend for this, is the lack of social awkwardness in social situations where food is involved, like going to a restaurant with a bunch of people, or like if I was at work and it was someone's birthday, being able to accept a piece of birthday cake, whereas before, like, I wouldn't. And it was honestly just such a relief and just so I didn't have to to be that person who's like, no, I don't eat this or that. And like, I respect, I don't know, like, I still like, I respect that if you're, you know, if you're vegan, I totally respect that. And I wouldn't use that as a reason to not be vegan. That
Mm.
would be the one reason. I was like, oh, I just want easier social situations. Like, no, I would not be vegan because of that for sure. But
That's
it
what
was
they like to point
definitely
out, though. They like to say that that's, you know, I mean, once you've been vegan for 5 years, sure, there's you know that you might notice that there's a bit of a strain there, but at the same time, like it's not the reason you left veganism. You know,
no, no,
you've
not at
conquered
all.
the social aspect at that point. 5 years in, you don't give a shit what people think. You're at the restaurant, you're asking them if there's, you know, milk in the bread. Like you know how to do these
Mhm.
things. And yes, it's still a pain in the ass, but
Yeah.
it's not the reason. And yes, of course, once you start eating animal foods again, you're like, well, why wouldn't I eat that? Like I'm accepting that it might not digest well. I'm accepting that it's not healthy in the traditional sense, but it also like provides this connection between me and my mom, and like that is nice. Like it connects you to other people. You know, hey, it's my birthday. You want a piece of cake? And you don't have to be that loser that's like, no, I don't eat. You guys shouldn't even eat that. You guys should have got a nut. It's like, fuck you. This is my birthday, bitch. You know.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt there, but I just wanted to point out for any vegans, Christine didn't want to be vegan anymore because she wanted to eat in birthday cake. No, shut up.
No.
Okay.
No, actually the like leaving veganism was one of the most like emotionally difficult things. And I know this pretty much happens to every vegan who leaves, but like I had really like I think you and I and like some other of our friends are very prone to idealism and extremes.
Mm.
And I really formed my identity around veganism. And it gave me something to like feel good about. Like I felt good about the fact that I was like saving animals and being super healthy and helping the environment made me feel really good. And then when I kind of had the realization that maybe all these things that I believed aren't quite accurate,
Mm.
um, it really crashed my worldview and it gave me a bit of an identity crisis, to be completely honest. Like the first thing that I had non-vegan was eggs, and I was like craving them so much. I actually felt this weird, like, inhaling suction feeling coming from my forehead, which sounds really weird, but yeah, I had some weird body things going on at that point. But
I
the
did too,
night
by the way.
you did, yeah,
Yeah.
like the night after like the night of the day that I had the eggs, like I had a complete like panic attack, and that I've had lots of anxiety, kind of like anxiety attack things happen before, but I've never had a complete panic attack where I couldn't talk. There was like tears streaming down my face. I couldn't move. I was shaking. I thought I was dying. Like I asked the person that I was living with at the time to take me to the hospital or call 911 because I was like, I'm dying. Like I've
Mm.
never felt like that before. And she's like, well, I'll take you to the hospital, but let's just wait a few minutes. I think you're having a panic attack. And there was like a small rational part of me that was like, okay, maybe she's right. Maybe she's right. So I was just like, wait like 20 minutes. And I started to come out of that state. So it was a panic attack, but it was basically like part of me died that day.
Mm.
Like part of you know, like, cause I identified with it so much. And it was just like, my brain was just like melting down and like, it's like, cannot compute. No, like system failure, you know?
Yeah, where do you even begin? You know, like who are you now? You're like you were this vegan YouTuber, built like you had this whole thing, and then now all of a sudden like you are everything needs to change overnight,
Yeah.
basically, and it's
Mhm.
accepting. It's basically accepting failure. It's accepting that you're wrong on like the highest level. You know, like you are forced to be humble and tell people. By the way, I was wrong. Remember when I told you that meat will kill you, and now I'm eating it? Like, yeah, I'm back on the meat. I'm
Totally.
sorry.
It's so interesting because things are so like pendulum swings. So like I believe that the more vigilant or like the more outspoken and the more judgy you are as a vegan, the bigger the backlash, like the bigger the like fall and the backlash is going to be. So definitely in some of my earlier years of being vegan, I said some things that I wish I could take back, mainly just to family members. But so it was a good lesson in humility, going back and, telling those family members, you know what, I'm sorry, I was wrong.
Yeah, definitely.
Hmm.
And I did the same thing. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot of people that I judged along the way to the point where some of them went vegan, and like,
Yeah.
I definitely, my greatest judgments, and maybe you know what I'm talking about here. My greatest judgment was from vegans that defected, that maybe, oh, I had a cookie with butter in it, or I had a cookie with milk in it. Like, I had no sympathy for that. I had no sympathy for that. And
Hmm.
now I just see it as so toxic. Like, it's such a toxic culture revolving around that. And because the information is so wrong, and also being in Hawaii, like seeing chickens on people's land firsthand that are just all over the place. And it really started to get me thinking, like, these chickens are going to be shitting these eggs out regardless. Like, there's
Hmm.
nothing unvegan about me eating this egg right now. The only thing keeping me from not eating it is thinking it's unhealthy for me. Whereas
Hmm.
like before, it was unhealthy. It was unethical. The chicks are being ground up. Yeah, we get that. Like, that's not a pleasant thing of life, but life is not that easy. There is some really messed up stuff that goes on, and like the vegan fruitopia, I call it, is they're so off base with the connection to reality, and kind of even going back to the mother's cooking. Like, I believe that eating the animal foods brings you closer to other humans, and like culture and tradition and all these things. Like, you all of a sudden don't see this stuff as bad anymore. You're like, that's actually kind of cool that we're a little bit
Hmm.
different and that we can still connect. Whereas like vegans, I feel like they just want to disconnect from everything. The only ones that are still sticking around are the ones making a paycheck on YouTube that are just, they want to see everything burn.
That reminded me of Game of Thrones. When Mad King or whatever, like Cersei, like
Just
burn
burn the
them
city,
all, burn
burn them
them
all.
all.
Megan, I
um,
did not see the stream, the links you posted. Uh, if you can send them again, Megan's trying to. I'm locked into Christine here, guys. I'm sorry I can't interact with the chat as much as
oh yeah,
you may
I'm gonna have
want.
to go back and read the chat later because I can really only focus on one thing at a time too, so I can't read the chat right now. But hi, Megan, and
So
anybody else.
so where does this bring us? I guess you know I guess we both just kind of fell off towards the end. We started going back to the animal foods. Like, what was the first thing that you noticed? I wanted to ask you in terms of mental health, because this also ties into your skin situation that you're talking about, because you believe that it's a sort of a psychosomatic, well, not psychosomatic, but like it's caused
Hmm.
by mental distress.
Hmm.
It's a symptom of mental distress. So, like, do you think that being vegan had some effect on your mind that didn't allow you to quite perform optimally or feel optimally in terms of like hormonal balance, or like, do you notice any difference going back to
Um,
animal foods, or how do you think about that? What do you think about that?
I can't say that I see a distinct difference in my mental health since leaving veganism. I feel like I've become a more like rational and objective person in the sense that I don't allow myself to get carried away in fantasies and ideologies as much anymore. I'm a little bit more of a critical thinker, I think.
Hmm.
But in terms of my mental health, like I've had a lot of things happen this last year with like relationships ending and moving and just like finding out things about myself and just changing my life, going back to school, starting new jobs, that it's like it's been a lot, and I have a pretty low tolerance for stress and change. So I would say that I'm, like, yeah, I wouldn't say that like, oh, I started eating meat and then I'm no longer anxious or no longer prone to having bouts of depression. So I wish I could because that would be great, but I can't say that.
Well, that's good. I mean, it would be weird if everybody was having the exact same like successes or something like that. But I think that some people who were maybe not on a stress level, but a lot of people were having like cognitive issues on a vegan diet.
Mhm.
And in my opinion on that, like, I don't think that I really had a huge showing of that. Like, I didn't have many symptoms of
Mhm.
cognitive inability. However, I will say that I feel like it's a slight notch up on the animal foods, but I think that's just from a matter of being like actually nourished and having enough calories. Even though as a vegan, I was eating a lot of calories. Like, I think when you're just busy digesting food all day long, as the vegans are, like,
Yeah.
you're not going to be as sharp as you could be. You know what I mean? Like, I
Mhm.
could eat that way now on animal foods and still have the same cognitive inability, but that's because I would probably go eat like a hamburger and French fries, and then I would be like, oh, like that. You know, you're not going to be your smartest and
Yeah.
your sharpest on that.
And
Uh,
I could kind of argue that you are like you've always been sharp and like I never thought that you were like, had any cognitive issues at all. You've always been really quick and sharp, but feel like you've been your creativity and your output of stuff into the world has really like increased.
yeah,
So, like what were you like think about what you were your lifestyle in Hawaii versus your lifestyle here. Like you're a lot more productive now. Like you're doing more stuff, right? Like,
yeah.
yeah.
I think for me, I'm just a lot more durable. Like, my mental state and my ability to output, like, I don't need to sleep as much. I can, and I'm not trying to like say there's some magic going on here. It's just like, I feel like my old self. Like, my old
Mhm.
self as a 21, 22-year-old, I could party 5 nights a week. I could sleep a shitty 5 hours and be hungover and then go to work and then perform on an 8 hour day. Sure, I would hit a monster and maybe smoke a cigarette, but I was durable. Like, I could actually get stuff done and still continue on and still continue on. But eventually, obviously, like, that's a bit out of balance too, right? So, like, that brought me to a point where I felt like I needed the next level, because obviously I wouldn't have gone vegan otherwise, right? So, like, it kind of balanced itself out, and now I feel like I'm in a place where I'm actually balanced out, where I can output a lot but also show some reserve and know when I'm reaching that limit. But the limit is just a lot higher than compared to being vegan. Like, I can handle stress more. I can deal with people being in my face about something. I can recover from stressful situations a lot faster, both physically and mentally. And as a vegan, I just felt like more and more like pulling away. Like, I felt
Mhm.
like the longer I got away from working and the longer I got away from doing mainstream stuff, that it was just removing me further and further. I was just thinking to myself, like, how the hell am I going to ever hold down a regular job? Like, I can't do it. Like, I can't do it from a standpoint of logistics. Like, how am I going to get my food to work? How am I going to sip my smoothie for 2 hours, you know?
Mhm.
And there's so many layers to it. And it just all brought me to the end, basically, for me. And I felt like I found a much more practical method for myself. You know, this is easy. Like, going back to the min maxing we were talking about, like, I'm eating 2 meals a day and I'm still getting results. Like, I'm only working out 4 or 5 hours a week. Anybody can do what I'm doing. And as a vegan, I needed an entire lifestyle and community to support what I was doing. And it still wasn't
Totally.
working that good.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like we all kind of went to Hawaii to the Hawaiian vegan mecca to yeah, basically just eat fruit together all day, which is like a lovely idea, but yeah, we couldn't really sustain it. It wasn't reality, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the funny thing too, is that a lot of vegans, like, they don't even have the support system that we had going to Hawaii and stuff like that. And they are living in the city in isolation, and they are only getting their connection through social
Social
media with
media.
other
Yeah.
vegans. And that's why they're like, I've never heard of somebody leaving veganism for these issues. Like, that's because a guy that you don't know that lives in another state from you is not going to talk to you about his bloating and his digestion right off the bat, you know? But
Yeah.
we actually physically live together. Like, you're in the next room. It's a big difference than somebody who's, in the other part of the world that's your friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, being around vegans in real life lets you see the realities of the situation, that it lets you see through the bullshit. Like, I saw people struggling with weight issues. I saw people struggling with acne issues, with skin issues of all sorts.
Mhm.
I saw the deterioration on some people, not necessarily our closest friends that we have there, but like the people who would kind of float through and float out. You know, those like real vagabond type vegans, like those people were on like, they come through like little slinky, skinny rats, you know, like they're just like falling apart, and they're like at the fruit market, like bargaining for fucking GMO papaya, you know, like.
And I remember actually like when I went to, and I was so like indoctrinated into this whole like thing that I didn't even see people for what they kind of like appeared to be now. So like, for example, when I went to the Baosheng Durian Festival, like I remember, actually, I don't know if I want to say this, but like I brought someone with me who wasn't like really in the community, and she was just like commenting. She's like, is this I feel like the fruitarians like all have a similar body shape, which is like no muscle in the arms or shoulders, and then this like lower belly pooch kind of thing, you know, like very skinny, but then this like weird extra layer of like lower abdominal fat. And I was like, no. But then like I kind of started looking, and I'm like, oh, I kind of feel like it's true. And then like since you sent me Vegan Deterioration's channel and like the shoulder thing, I definitely noticed that now. I'm like, oh yeah, that's like definitely a thing.
Maybe we'll have to pull some pictures up to compare against myself, but like on the stream yesterday with Vegan Cheetah, or the other day with Vegan Cheetah, I pulled up a picture of myself where like I showed my face and my deterioration of my face back when I was vegan, and even though I'm 10 pounds lighter than that picture, my face is more full than that picture. So it's not just like a weight gain. And then when you compare my shoulders, like there is no comparison to my shoulders, and I'll pull that picture up too. And it's like I'm flexing in the bathroom as hard as I can, and my shoulders are like, they're the classic vegan shoulders, because as I've said, once you lose that, you can't gain it back as a vegan. You can maintain it somewhat, but as soon as your body dips into the deep stores of like muscle tissue and collagen and stuff like that, we're not seeing people really come back from that. And people will always pick up one or two people from the internet that they've seen, like Leo Venus, that's grown entirely as a vegan on his body type, and people like Derek Simnet. But I'm not saying that those people haven't done that and that that's not true for them, but it doesn't mean that it's true for you. And for most people that I've seen in real life, they haven't been able to overcome this. And when you see dozens of examples of this in real life, it becomes more of a reality than like studying some person on a reality TV show, because that's what I feel like a lot of vegan YouTube is lately. It's like, and I say this, it's pretty funny that I have a lot of controversy on my channel as well, but we try and keep it real around here. Like, we are real people, you know, and I know you, and I know everybody that I've had on my show so far, you know, Durian Rider maybe it's an exception to this, but like we are real people that are representing, we really live this shit, you know? And so, yeah, I haven't seen people recover from that in person, and I couldn't recover from it.
I mean, like, if we couldn't do it, we were like in the Mecca, you know?
Right.
We were surrounded
we
by
were into the perfect,
in the Mecca.
like the perfect situation.
Yeah. And I can see what you're talking about with your face. Like I feel like you're fuller in your kind of like this area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here. And I'm noticing it just, my forehead is definitely so much healthier looking. It's like, it's smooth. It's like, I got a little bit of like palpable moisture to it. My cheeks are wider. I don't know if it's just from chewing things that are like harder and denser now, like meat, you know, because your jaw obviously is going to grow. But I talked about it like in the picture that I show, my face is more like angled like this, like from my cheekbones here down to like my lower jaw. It's like a 45-degree angle, whereas now it's more like up and down, you know? And it's just, it's consistent. And you look at people, and I have weird old bug eyes sticking out of my head, and I weighed more in that picture than I do now. So it's not weight. It's not just simply weight. There's something else going on there. And then, of course, there's like the internal feeling, like I don't feel very strong when I'm working out. Like, it's not the same. You're not the same feeling. And then you get the libido. Like, did you have any issues with that, by the way? Like, Did you have
Well,
any
I
sexual things?
couldn't really gain strength past a certain amount. So like I was
Mm-hmm.
training like back squats for a couple of years, and like the most I could really get up to was doing a set of 140 pounds for like 10 reps. Like I didn't really do like the 1 rep max thing all the time, but I was just continually trying to up my weight. And then and like hip thrusts, I'd be following girls on on Instagram that were doing like 300-pound hip thrusts after training for like 9 months. And
Yeah.
I've been doing this exercise for a couple of years, and like I couldn't get past like 140 pounds, something like that, like just not nothing to brag about. So I was like frustrated because like I felt like I wasn't able to get stronger. Um, before I went vegan, I was able to do pull-ups, like, and I never trained pull-ups, just like randomly. Sometimes if I was at someone's house where they had a pull-up bar, I would just like try and be like, pull myself up. But then after I stopped being able, like when I went vegan, then I lost so much strength, and I eventually did gain that strength back, and I was able to do a few reps of pull-ups.
Mm-hmm.
So because like in the last year of being vegan, I got more into doing calisthenics. And by the way, I have to say that it's my pet peeve when people say calisthenics. It's
Calisthenics with a
calisthenics,
T.
then X, not calisthenics.
We don't. Luckily, we don't say that here.
Okay, good.
We say nuclear though. I'd like to drop a nuclear bomb. Okay.
Okay. But anyways, even with all the calisthenics training, like I could never break my like record of doing 3 in a row with. And like you saw me, I was freaking at the gym all the time, and like I wasn't doing them every day, like I was doing it properly, and I still just couldn't break past certain strength plateaus. And
And
I don't know, I haven't tried to break past them since, because I basically stopped working out. But I'm gonna see what happens now. But yeah.
well, that's what it kind of pisses me off, because a vegan would come in and not even knowing anything about you, they would say like, that's good enough. What do you need to do 20? What do you need to do 20 pull-ups for? You already look buffer than most people in society. Like, what do you
Mhm.
need to hip thrust more than 140 for? And they don't get it. Like, they don't understand that.
Because it's possible, and
Right.
like you want to try, right?
Well, yes, and it's just they don't understand that the capacity is so much higher than they're generally capable of. And what they're willing to accept is essentially mediocrity and weakness for the greater sake of like this ethical thing. But if the ethics were completely out of it and we just talked about health and performance, see, this is ethics has no grounds in a health argument. And like you said earlier, it made you feel good to be involved in this thing that also helped the environment, that also helped animals. It was like this all around key. But
Mhm.
over time, people shift from why they originally got interested in the first place, which was the health and performance promise, which never materializes. And then they're like, well, then they justify it by it being ethical. And
Mhm.
this is the problem, because once you dive into the ethical aspect and you align yourself with that, now you're totally screwed, because now you are making it seem like it is a personal decision to be healthier and to be more fit, but you're sacrificing animals. Like, you need to come to terms with that decision. And vegans, they like to come through the channel and talk crap and say like, hey, why isn't some guy wrote to me yesterday, what's unsustainable about the ethical or the unethical treatment of animals? It's like, I don't care about that. Like, do not talk to me about ethical, unethical. I don't care at all. And this is why I think a lot of people dislike me, is because that argument is not even allowed on my channel. Like, let's talk health and fitness. And if you can convince me of that, then we can get into ethics.
Mhm.
But nobody yet has even scratched the surface on like convincing me otherwise in terms of the health and a performance argument. I mean, why is every bodybuilder major bodybuilder in the world building their physique as a meat eater. Like if the low protein vegan diet was the way to go, we would have had all these athletes already doing it. These guys are paid millions of dollars. They're willing to do steroids. They don't give a fuck about ethics. They would do whatever it takes to get that physique and that performance. And if it was veganism, that's what they'd be doing. And they have coaches that are responsible for giving them this top of the line treatment, and they're not doing veganism. So there is a bunch of lies going into getting people tricked into doing veganism in the first place. And then surprise, surprise, Sherlocks, when we don't get those results, yeah, we're going to be pissed off and we're going to talk about it the way that we do, you know? And we have the experience to back it up.
So the thing is, for me, I would even, so.
Whoops. I wanted to bring this up afterwards.
Okay, yeah. If all the ethical arguments that the vegans propose were even true, then I actually would be willing, if it truly was more ethical, if it truly did benefit the environment more, then I would be willing to sacrifice some strength gains or like some performance. But the thing is, it's like,
that's all debatable actually, too, right?
What's that?
The ethical and the environmental is debatable at this point too.
It's completely debatable. And that was like, after I started kind of like opening my eyes, because like I would only feed myself vegan information while I was vegan. I was like, no, everything else is a conspiracy. This is the truth. And I wouldn't look at anything else because I was so committed to that worldview. I was so committed to that paradigm that I just wouldn't look at anything else. And once I started looking at other sources, I was like, oh, okay, there's some valid arguments here. Like, wow, I legit brainwashed myself. Wow.
Yeah, you have to keep feeding the plant. Like you're the plant and you're like watering yourself with more new vegan information, because if you don't, that plant's going to die. Whereas it's funny on the opposite end of the spectrum, if I'm eating like heavy carnivore, like I don't watch carnivore material. I don't need to. I feel good inside. Like that feeling emanates out. Like my digestion is good. Like I don't need to go research about why carnivore digestion is so great. Like it's already great. I'm moving on.
Yeah.
And all the things are that way. You know what I mean? Like I'm just enjoying myself, my body, my life. I don't need to continue researching the things because I'm not trying to continually convince myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 I'm super excited to get started on this like minimum effective dose fitness thing. Cause like I've just, you know, like over the last couple of weeks, I've done like a few gym workouts and I feel like I'm starting to see like muscle in the hardest area for me to gain muscle was my quads. And I feel like my quads are about as big now as they were at the height of my like vegan bodybuilding, like when I was putting in max effort and like I literally have done like a handful of workouts and I just feel like my body is responding to
I'm
it
sure it's going to be
faster.
Insane. Did you ever work out, by the way, before veganism? Like, did you ever have anything to compare it to?
I just did kind of like group exercise classes. So nothing like no real weight training. I was just doing like spin classes and step classes and like random push-ups maybe. But I was never like training in a kind of like strength and conditioning type of modality.
So you went opposite, because most vegans, they're like, they have a base of fitness, if they even have a base of fitness, and then they go vegan. They're like, I'm going to become a runner or a yogi. Like they move away from the power stuff because in my opinion, they don't feel that inner strength, that like ability to really push hard and go on. But you actually had the opposite experience. I find it so interesting that you were able to like make good gains. But again, it's like, what's going on the inside? You know, you didn't have the good digestion. There's so many things that people overlook, and then they're going to blame you for it. They're going to say, well, it's your body that you brought the dysbiosis into veganism in the first place. And you're like, well, I never noticed it before. So what's going on there?
And I also took a lot of antibiotics when I was younger, which I know you've mentioned in other videos. So like I always had ear infections. So same. Yeah, it was always on the antibiotics, and so, like, I already did have problems before I was vegan. Like I said,
Okay.
I had the constipation and all that, but, um, I think there's a pretty big link between antibiotics and your immune system and your gut as you get
Yes.
later in life, and it just makes you more vulnerable to digestive and autoimmune problems, the
Okay, so
more
to be
anti.
clear, I will have to correct myself. You did have issues before the vegan diet. That is very
Oh,
valuable
yeah.
information. Thank you for bringing that
Mhm.
up.
Yeah.
The I'm asking everybody now. It's like antibiotics, check, breastfed, check, not breastfed, check, whatever. And it's just going into the data pool. Like people can take this information and do what they want with it. But we need to get the information out, you know? We need to like really get to the bottom of this. So, let's take a look at my vegan shoulder, shall we?
Oh, yes, let's do that.
All right, so I was 150, at least 153 here. So,
Really?
yeah. So this was me like trying hard, working out all the time in the backyard.
Huh.
Um yeah, so my shoulders, you could just see they are smaller
Yeah.
and
Can
it's
you put up a picture of what you look like now to compare side by
yes,
side?
yes. I have that right here. Whoops. Let's see. Let's make sure we don't go to the porn section. Okay, let's see here.
I love this. And we had so much fun in Hawaii, always like looking at all the fitness people on Instagram and like dissecting their results and whatever they were doing. That was fun.
Yeah, it's good. It's fun trying to figure out the holes in their game. But so
Yeah.
something. Here's a picture I took 2 weeks, like a week ago.
Whoa, that's kick. Damn. And like you're 10 pounds lighter in that
10 pounds
picture, is
lighter.
that
I'm
right?
lighter. Yeah, I'm lighter in this picture than I was in the last picture. And
Yeah, it's crazy.
but it's the workouts though. It's like I'm doing the same exact workouts, the same
Re-
fucking workouts,
Seriously,
and
so like really exactly the same workouts.
exactly the
That's
same workouts to a T. Like the only difference is, and yes, I will admit, I'm using dumbbells to work the shoulders, but it's the thing that the difference is everything is like swollen here, and this is also like probably on
yeah.
a low carb day to begin with.
You've got
So
the 3D delts.
the 3D delts are popping, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's it's just different. It's just so different now, and I love looking. I'm so glad that I documented this stuff and I have this stuff in my phone. And Vegan Gains even said the other day, like, it's the workouts, it's the progressive overload that lets you grow. But okay, but what if you don't grow? Like, what if you do the workouts and you don't ever get stronger? That's what my experience was. I
Mhm.
couldn't progressively
Do you
overload.
Speaking of vegan gains, like, do you think that he would ever allow himself to reach the point where he realizes that like his health is not good and switch back? Or do you think like people like him or Freely, do you think that they'll just go to the very end and I
Hmm.
mean maybe I don't know, maybe they'll I don't know, like actually I don't know if Freely has any issues, but like vegan
She
gains,
looks
he's
like she has
got some health
issues.
he's got some health issues, right?
That's what I've heard, but when I talked to him, he seemed to have no. He's defending his health. He was saying that he's
Oh,
making
okay.
gains. He's getting leaner. He feels good. He doesn't have bad digestion. He's also doing it without, like the vegans. They always come through and they make these claims like, okay, but your what I eat in a day video has multiple scoops of protein powder, but yet you're telling me that you're not using protein powder. Like I don't know where
Mm.
these guys, how accurate their defenses are. I feel like they kind of embellish a little bit because, like, when I go back and I look at Derek Simnet, for instance, you know Derek Simnet, so
Yeah, I know.
or you're familiar with his
Mhm.
channel. So I've dissected Derek Simnet very deeply at this point. Like I've looked at his stuff, and he got bigger, yes, as a vegan, as a low protein vegan. And I even have DMs with him back in 2016 or so when he first started getting, he kind of got to this stage like 2 years ago in 2017 where he actually started to get like really shredded. Like he started looking really good, like next level good. And I was like, what are you eating now? Like, do I have you, Christine, or did you freeze? I think Christine froze. We will get her in a second. Just me hanging out asks, what do you think of that vegan couple? By the way, I saw a couple super chats pop up. Thank you for whoever else threw down. Hey, Christine.
Hey.
Got you back. Okay, let's go side by side again. All right.
Sorry,
So-
the last thing I heard you say was dissecting Simnet Nutrition's journey.
Yes. Yeah, so just like looking at his